want to give you more background information. When I started with photography, like probably many of you, I thought a great camera makes great pictures. So I started with a camera, a Canon 1000D, then I moved to the 550D and now to the Canon 6D. And that's the first step. A great camera takes great pictures. And once you've done everything with your kit lens, you dive more into lenses. So from great camera takes great pictures, you learn that actually great lenses take great pictures. So you dive into lenses, and that's where we are right now. I want to talk a little bit about cameras and lenses, and there are actually two types of camera and sensor types that are very common. That is the APS-C sensor, like in the Canon EOS 550D, 600D, 650D, 700D, 750D, or the Nikon D 5000 series, 3000 series, 7000 series, or the Sony NEX cameras. These all have a APS-C sensor. And the other type of sensor is full frame sensor. The sensor of a full frame camera is bigger and has some advantages that I want to talk about. Some examples are the Canon 5D, Mark II, Mark III, Mark I, the Canon 6D, the Nikon D 600, 610, the Nikon D 750, 800, 810, 810A, the Sony Alpha 7 series, Sony 7, Sony 7S, Sony 7R. These are full frame cameras. They have a bigger sensor, which means that they can handle better with low light situations. So if we are in a dark room, or if it's getting dark outside and the light is gone, the full frame sensor gives me more control over the situation, and I can get better pictures in low light. The negative part on full frame cameras is the price tag. It's much more expensive. The lenses are more expensive, the cameras are more expensive. Much more expensive. But actually, when you take a look at amateurs, a father who wants to take pictures of his family, he probably gets an APS-C camera. When you take a look at wedding photographers, most use a full frame camera. Not everybody, but most. Most professional photographers use a full frame camera. And then the next step would be middle format camera, but that is very expensive. You can get a middle format camera for 30,000, 40,000 euros without lens. So that's a niche, you know, for very professional photographers who specialize in very specific niches. Okay, so there we're not going to dive into that. We stick to the APS-C and the full frame sensors. So I have several lenses here. These are the kit lenses, the 1855 and the 750-300. Here I have manual lenses, old lenses, a 135 2.8. It's a prime lens, so I cannot zoom with these lenses. It cost me 35 euros because it's old, it's manual, so the camera doesn't see the lens actually. When you look at the camera, it doesn't say there's a lens on it. It just says 0, and you have to control everything with your hand, but it's a great way to learn photography. It's very cheap, 15 euros, 35 euros for a prime lens. It's unbeatable. And here I have two other lenses from Canon, the 50 1.8 and the 35 1.4 Sigma Art lens. My favorite lens is the 50 1.8. It costs 100 euros, is the best lens I have. The Sigma costs more than 700 euros. It's one of the best of its kind, but I prefer this one because of the image it gives me. I like this image more than this one. You're probably going to hate me for this, but actually if I had only one lens to go with my full frame camera, it would be this 100 euro lens, not this 700 euro lens, and not this 870 euro lens which is filming right now. Okay, so what do I have here? I have zoom lenses, 1018 super wide, 1855 standard zoom lens, and 75 300mm telephoto lens. These two primes, which are manual and old, and these new ones. What is the advantage of each of those? Okay, so the zoom actually has the advantage of comfort. I can stand here, take a picture, let's say of this, then I zoom in, take a picture of a small detail, take a picture of a detail here, detail there. I don't have to move and I get very different results. Only with one lens, I don't have to change lenses. I just zoom in. It's very easy and it's very common. The negative side is the image quality. Zoom lenses do not compete with prime lenses, talking about image quality. Another negative aspect is the aperture. This lens starts at f4. So the aperture means how wide will the lens open. Let's say this is the eye of the lens. Now the eye can open. This Sigma 35 millimeters, it says 1.4. This other 50 millimeter prime lens says 1.8. So the lower the number, 1.4, 1.8, the more open the eyes are. So 1.4 is very open, which means there is a lot of light coming in, which means I can use this perfectly in dark situations. The other great aspect is if I have a 1.4 lens, I can get the background blurred out totally. The lower the number, 1.4, 1.2, 1.8, 2.0, I can get great blurred out background. That is why we want to use these cameras. Mobile phones take great pictures, but they do not get this blurred out background. We need these bigger cameras for it. And these lenses with 1.4, 1.8 apertures, the eyes open wide, great in low light conditions and very nice background blurred out. And this opens widest at f4. So the eye is not getting open very much. So I can't use this in low light. When I'm in a dark room or the sun is gone, I cannot use this lens. And I will not get great pictures. I can work around it with a tripod. But this would not be a lens that I use in a dark situation. And it's not a lens that I use if I want a blurred background. Or the kit lens. The kit lens starts at I think 3.5. Let me just check. 3.5 to 5.6. So 3.5 is the widest the lens opens. And there is not much light coming in either, and the background is not blurred out as much as with these two prime lenses. So the advantage of prime lenses is you get better image quality, you can get the background blurred out, and you can work well in low light situations, dark rooms, at night. That's the advantage of primes. The negative part of primes is you can't zoom, you can't change the look of your view. When I stand here and take a picture, and I will always get this picture, the picture will not change. I have to move, I have to get in closer, I have to move to the left, to the right, I have to move far away. So zoom lenses are very nice for comfort, are very nice when you do not want to travel with much stuff, when you do not want to change lenses. When you're in a desert where there is a lot of dust, you do not want to change your lenses, probably because your sensor is getting dirty. You want to stick your lens to the sensor, to the camera. And so we have the zoom lenses. Versatility is great, image quality is not so good, low light conditions are not so good, and the blurred out background is not so good. But they are well to start. A zoom lens helps you to find out which prime lens should you buy. Take a look at which pictures do you take most with your zoom lens. Do you take many pictures at 18 millimeters or at 55 millimeters? And then get a zoom lens with the millimeters that you use most often. And if you do not know which kind of prime you should get first, get an old manual lens. You will find many lenses used that are not used anymore for 10, 15, 20, 25 euros or dollars or pounds, anywhere. There are many out there that are not used, and very often you can use them on your camera. The adapter you can find on Amazon, very easy, very cheap. I prefer these M42 adapters because they are very cheap, 8 to 10 euros, and it's a great way to start with prime lenses if you are on a low budget. But you want better image quality and another feeling because everything is manual. And then you go into the standard lenses that are used today for professional photography, the prime lenses. So there are many ways to take great pictures. I would say keep it simple. Here are many lenses, and actually I don't like to take many lenses with me, because then I'm always switching lenses. I'm always thinking about, oh, I should take this picture with this lens. And when I got the lens on, take some pictures, I think, oh, I should now change back to that lens, just to get a different perspective. And so what I really like to do is, and I do a lot of street photography with only the camera that records now, Canon 6D, and this 50mm 1.8, 100 euros. This is everything I need. If I had one lens to go with for the rest of my life with the Canon 6D, it would be this 50mm 1.8. It's not perfect, but I use it at f2.8, and the focus is great, the image quality is great, and the blurred out background is great. So it doesn't always have to be expensive. This cost more than 700 euros, and I prefer this for 100. You know, just because I like the 50mm more than 35. Just the perspective, I like it more. A little bit more compression in the picture. Okay, I just wanted to give you a little look about lenses, cameras, advantages, disadvantages, so you can get a better feeling about where to go in your photography career. Thank you very much.